Hello, everyone. So good for you to have you all with us. Today, the Gauteng Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture celebrates Africa Month. And the way that we are going to be doing it is by talking about sports and the contribution that Africa makes when it comes to sports in terms of taking Africa as a continent to another level, and the contribution that it does that by also changing the world as well, using sports as a vehicle. So today we're going to be discussing building a better Africa and a better world through sport. And we're going to do that with some fantastic panelists. Such a pleasure and honor to introduce our wonderful panelists for this particular discussion. We've got the president of the Federation of Africa University Sports, Nomsa Mahlangu, is part of this panel. Hello, Nomsa, great to have you with us.
Hi, good morning to everyone.
Senzo Mbatha is the CEO of Simba Sports Club in Tanzania. Mr. Mbatha, good to have you with us. Hello.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity, and look forward to a great discussion with everyone.
Definitely. And the goalkeeper of the current PSL champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, and is also the captain of the Uganda national football team, the Uganda Cranes, is none other than Denis Onyango, also part of today's discussion. Hi, Denis.
Good morning, everyone.
Good to have you all with us. We're going to be navigating this particular topic, talking about the commercial value of sports in Africa. We're going to be celebrating some of our wonderful African legends that have been a credit to sports on a global scale. And we're also going to be discussing how we as Africans can continue to export Africa's greats to the world. I think I'm going to start off this discussion by speaking to you, Nomsa. I mean, you're an individual who's held positions in sports, in so many different sport structures before your current role. So you're definitely someone who fully understands the impact of sports in Africa and its value, Nomsa.
Well, I think until such time that as individual we stop looking at sport as sport only, for me, sport is a catalytic instrument to a lot of things. Sport is an instrument to the economy. Sport is an instrument to development. For example, in South Africa, when we were given the opportunity to host 2010, wow, we've got so much to say about it. We've got such a legacy. Me and you wouldn't be on a how train any day if it wasn't for the FIFA World Cup. Therefore, I think as Africans, we need to change the way we look at sport and look at sport as an instrument all in all, because for me, as a person who is based in universities, sport is a way for students to get educated. We have a lot of students in South Africa that come from as far as Uganda, from as far as Algeria, Kenya, because they have come to South Africa through scholarships. And it is important for us as Africans to invest in our own, to also ensure that as opposed to our students going to America to play basketball, why don't they play in Africa? Because as you know, Africa just launched the AfroBasket League. What is it that we're doing as Africans to ensure that we have the best athletes that play in our own sport? And again, governments need to invest more in sport, because an investment in sport is an indirect investment in health.
I think Denis will want to contribute to what you've just said, Nomsa, because Denis, I mean, you played your entire pro career here in Africa, but you've made an impression globally. You were once voted as part of the 10 best goalkeepers in the world. So it really speaks to the high standard of sports on the African continent.
Well, as you said that I've been part of the 10 best goalkeepers in the world. It's very important for us also as Africans to believe in ourselves. As they say that we need to develop ourselves, it's very, very important that we shouldn't only look at Europe as the way forward. No, we should also look at ourselves and say, look, Europe should look at us as well and try and admire us, because we've got such a talent. And wherever you meet says Africa has everything, but the way we organize our things. It's high time we look at sports as something that's very important to the community, to everyone, because it unites countries, it unites people. It doesn't matter which religion you are or which political party you're in. When it comes to sports, everyone comes together. So why shouldn't we look at it and try and improve our sector? Because some people up there think that sports is only about running around, staying fit. No, it's part of our life. It's our job. So we should take it serious and try and improve all the sectors, because when you come to the stadium, there are a lot of people who work around the stadium, who sell stuff, those who sell tickets, the compute tickets and all those things. So why shouldn't we take sport as any other job, as a serious thing than just about working out?
Entertainment.
It's not only about, it's entertainment, but it puts everyone together. It brings everyone together. And you can see that even during this lockdown period, even the people who work in the offices turned into sportsmen because they started gymming. So why shouldn't we take it serious in a way that we improve the infrastructures?
Agreed. Senzo, I know that you've been involved in several clubs and international sporting events as well. Sister Nomsa just spoke about the 2010 FIFA World Cup, in which you were also involved, Senzo. So you've been at the forefront of fully understanding the commercial value of African sports globally, particularly after an event like the FIFA World Cup, for example.
No, it's true. I mean, I think the World Cup was not the start of it, but rather one of these elite events that showcase who we are as Africans, especially in South Africa. What is it that we are capable of doing? Taking from Sister Nomsa and Denis, there's an emphasis on developing ourselves, emphasis on improving ourselves so that we can showcase who we are. You know, I've always maintained one principle that if all of us in Africa can just understand that infrastructure is very important. Infrastructure might be in terms of stadia or in terms of training grounds, but the most important infrastructure is the structures within our football or within our sports, whereby an athlete will come in and be provided a platform to perform from A to Z without any hindrances. So it is important that as leadership, as people who are in sport, we create that environment which is conducive for everybody, even our media partners, our sponsors. A sponsor once gives you 1 million Tanzanian shillings, Denis, and then you say thank you very much, and then you don't deliver on what you promised them. You don't deliver on anything. Then we can never move forward. So my not a gripe per se, but my preoccupation is that if we can provide an infrastructure that is allowing for people to grow, I'm telling you, we'll compete against Europe. Of course, our elite athletes will go to Europe, but at least we can still maintain to keep about 60-70% of our best athletes in Africa, because we can take care of themselves. If you can't take care of themselves, then we might just say that no, sports is good for our health. It helps people with employment and such, but we need to make it, you know, an industry, as we say.
Senzo, is there enough intra-African collaboration that is happening?
Yes, I must say that in the past few years, it's been good. Nomsa now sits at an African top position in terms of the school sports. So that it shows that, you know, there is that interconnections amongst ourselves. I mean, when I was at Platinum Stars, for instance, I didn't struggle when I played in Uganda. I called Denis. Denis' brother was the one that is organizing everything in Africa. It shows that there is that relationship at that level and at the level of just social level. But also, I think the technology has made it a bit easier for us to be able to interact and connect, because now I can see what is happening in Algeria. I can see what is happening in Botswana. In that way, I'm part of it without being there, you know. So I think the collaborations are there, and I think we can only improve from here on.
Yeah, Nomsa, I know you want to add to this.
Yeah, I think I fully agree with Senzo. However, we can really do much more. Agenda 2063 in terms of Africa's goal can only be a reality if Africans themselves stand up and say, it starts with me. This year, the theme is a prosperous Africa, but the question is, how do I, Nomsa Mahlangu, contribute to a prosperous Africa? How do I make it easy for the next African to achieve way better than what I have achieved? I think the challenge that we have now as Africa is, here we are, how do we move to Agenda 2063 seamlessly? Instead of us busy arguing about petty things, just like Denis said, people tend to look at sport as entertainment only or sportainment only. Sport is life. Sport is a way of life. Therefore, as Africans, we need to ensure that we invest in sport. And a person can ask, I don't have money. How do I invest in sport? You can invest in sport, one, by nurturing talent, two, by looking after our facilities, because mostly I've traveled the continent vastly. And what really hurts me is that as Africans, we have a lot of beautiful facilities, but those facilities are not well taken care of. They get dilapidated because we don't look after our facilities. So as a layman, as a general community member within the continent, we all need to play our part to ensure that the facilities that our governments have built remain in a good condition so that we can have more and more Denises, that we can say out of the 10, we as Africa now have 6, because I believe that Africans are the most talented.
Denis, we talk about building a better Africa and in turn a better world through sport. But oftentimes, a lot of people still look at sportsmen and women as being really great when they get global recognition. But for example, you are someone who stands out as one who has gotten recognition or who's become great remaining on the African continent, but has gotten global recognition. What more needs to happen for us as Africans to realize just how powerful and how much potential we have as make it remaining here on the African continent, but still have a global appeal. So people mustn't think that in order to become great, you have to go and play abroad or to be recognized abroad. What more needs to happen for people to realize that you can be as great as Denis Onyango and play your entire pro career here on the African continent?
Well, I think people around sports, not only football, but sport in general, they need to help in making life better for sportsmen, because I believe that when a few players they look at them as someone who's like a nobody, whereas these are the people who really inspired youngsters, who really made people love football or athletes or rugby. So I think people must keep our legends around for a couple of years so that they inspire a young generation in a way that whenever you go somewhere, you talk about the Jabupules, the Dr. Kumalos. The whole world knows them, but when people retire, they forget about them. So my humble appeal is that our legends should be kept around to try and improve our sport, because I'll be honest with you, when you go around the African continent and you ask me who's the minister of sports in another country, I'll tell you, I don't know. But if you say who's Denis Onyango to a young boy somewhere in a different country, he'll say, oh, you mean the goalkeeper? Why shouldn't we take our sport to the next level and try and help our sportsmen to be recognized and make it a job for them, not just a hobby as people take it, because people think that sport is just a hobby. No, we must take our job serious, and people around us should not only need us when we are still active, they must also need us when we've retired. In that way, we'll improve the sport or the game, because when you look in Europe, when David Beckham retires, he stays in the limelight. They still show him around so that the young kids get to envy him. They want to be like him. So why shouldn't we do the same for our African players and try and keep them around and show them to the world?
Senzo, because oftentimes, I mean, for too long now, we've been talking about Africa holds so much potential when it comes to sport. But what are some of the things that now need to happen to ensure that we fully realize this potential?
Look, if I may touch on a little bit on what Denis is also referring to in terms of the legends and taking care of the players that have been there in the yesteryears. We cannot run out as the sport, evolves. So it's important that we don't wait until such time that people retire, or they themselves, the sports people, they don't wait. You know, as a sportsman yourself, there's so much opportunities in terms of making sure that by the time that time comes of retiring, you carry on. You know, there's so many examples that we can talk about to say so and so is carry on, is still in the limelight. Denis make mention of Denis Beckham. I mean, it goes back to the infrastructure I'm talking about. When you go to England, Denis Beckham is not continuing because he's no, it's because he's got people that are supporting him. Infrastructure is there, everything to ensure that the best of this person is out there. That's what I'm saying. As administrators, you know, whether we're in South Africa or in Tanzania, our primary responsibility is to ensure that we create a conducive environment for everybody who is in the sport. You know, also, I think it goes on to appreciating the kind of expertise required to make our sport move forward. Gone are the days whereby you think that there's 6-7 of you in a club, because I can speak from the perspective of a club, that we can do this. No, you need an expert who will tell you that for you to make money on your social media, these are the fundamentals you need to follow. You need experts in those. So we need to also be open as sports people to allow other qualified experts to come into our game so that they can take our game to the next level. Then we can start talking of the football economy in Africa. But I think we are getting there. I think there's a slow progress. You know, if we can just also, I always say this, separate politics from the operations of the sports. I am telling you who will succeed.
Nomsa, you've seen many a career take off from a university sports level to global superstardom.
Yeah, I think we need to promote dual careers. And by dual careers, I mean that athletes are busy competing, even professionally. They must also be in an institution. Well, now we have virtual learning. So register for something that you love. As Denis is speaking about our legends having to leave the game. I think it's key for our sports persons to remember that as they play sport, there is also life after sport. So therefore, as obviously a president of university sport, I would be biased and say all our athletes must look at academic qualifications so that they can also use them even after sport. Because, you know, of late, because of technology, all other things within the sciences, it is important for both athletes and coaches, including administrators, to keep abreast in terms of what is happening around. So for those people that really want to stay within sport, there are so many careers within sport, your video analysis, your sports scientist. So there's so much that we can do and we can offer. I think it's also important for us to know that if you are lucky in sport, you can only compete probably until you are 40, 45, if you're very lucky. So we then need to try and ensure that the new crop of players that we bring through, we bring them through this dual career format so that we don't have to say, how do we keep our legends in the game? but it is where do we place them, because in essence, they would be integrated within the system, and the system would need them more than they need the system.
Denis, I see you agreeing profusely with what Sis Nomsa is saying.
Yeah, definitely. What Nomsa says is right. We must look after ourselves as well as sportsmen. We're not just going to be put into a place whereas we have no idea on what to do. It's very important for us as well to try and educate ourselves and know that there's life after football, and that's a longer period. You might play football or might be an athlete for 15 years, but there's another 25 years of your life after football. So we need to plan for that as well. But you can't plan after you've retired. No, you need to plan as you're in the process, when you're still playing and active. But by doing that, you can't only do it by yourself. You need to consult with people, because there's always opportunities to learn online. You need to learn something. You can't say, I played football, I must stay in football when you have no qualifications. No, you must have qualifications that will help you when you retire to get a place to another job. So it's also our responsibility as sportsmen to look after ourselves. We must not be greedy. You just want to be yourself. No, you must help other people. You seek advice. The only problem I think we do have as sportsmen, we want to be ourselves. Denis Onyango, I'm Denis Onyango. I don't want to help anyone. I don't want to ask anyone for advice. No, we've got people who know different things. You must ask a financial advisor to help you on such issues. You must, because we all know different things. So if we sit back as sportsmen and say, look, I'm a superstar, anything, everyone will want to come to me. Yes, he will come to you at that time. But when you retire, they'll say, look, you avoided us. So what do you want with us right now? So it's up to us to come back to the people and to the community and get to know ourselves and help each other, because at the end of the day, we'll retire and there's a new superstar who's going to come up. So if you don't look at those aspects and try and educate yourselves to put yourself in a better position, I think it will be difficult. As I had said that, look at our legends, they can't look at them as well because they've got nothing to show up with. You can't put a legend in office when he has no idea. I mean, what is he going to do? So let's look after ourselves as we ask for help from other people and try and improve the game, because at the end of the day, we need these people in football, but you can't place him to be a coach when he has no idea. A coach and a player, it's two different things. So let's get close to these people and try and educate ourselves as they help us as well to learn these things, because it's difficult, of course, to handle both sides, but nothing is easy. You need to handle both sides and try and move forward as a player or as a person.
It's Africa Month, so we're celebrating the best that Africa has to offer. And when it comes to this particular discussion, it is about the best that Africa has to offer when it comes to sports, Senzo. And we're talking about continuing to make Africa great through sport, but not just Africa, also influencing the world and helping to make the world great as well through sports as Africans. How do we continue to export Africa's greats to the world? And we're not just talking about those on the field of play. We're also looking at individuals like yourself, like Nomsa, administrators, and those that are involved in making sports the powerhouse that it is.
It's true, Carol, that we are in Africa, whether in South Africa, in Botswana, or we are in Africa.
Tanzania.
In Tanzania, you know, it's our home. You know, I mean, if South Africa is a bit advanced, more than Uganda or more than other countries, what stops us from just importing that little bit of knowledge to another country? Go there, make a meaningful change, leave a legacy, and make sure that those that have something to learn from you, they can learn from you. You know, we also learn from the environments which we are involved in. But I believe that as professionals, it's our duty to ensure that there are basic systems that we leave behind. As an example, you come to an environment and you realize that there's a big potential in terms of fans. You know, it's not like back home whereby, you know, sometimes you have to really dig deep to get your fans following you and everything. But here there's a captive audience and a captive customer base, which people here love their clubs. What do? You come in here, come up with strategies that you say, right, if we take this strategy will assist us to ensure that this club can be sustained over a period of time. Because, you know, for instance, the sale of their merchandise is not properly. You can align it a little bit, give it some structure, give it some proper pricing, proper distribution channels. We can actually sustain this club. So these are the small bits of contribution that you can make when you're in an environment, to look at the environment and realize that if we can change 1, 2, 3 things, it will help. Somebody yesterday gave me a call from home, said, but Senzo, what is so exciting about you launching a website in East African region? What's so exciting about the website? I said, my brother, is because you don't understand the environment I'm in. This website that we've just launched has created a value for us, not only in Tanzania. You can ask Denis. Somebody can go to our website and say, but who is Kakolanya? They go to our website, they realize here's a picture of Kakolanya, here's a bio of Kakolanya. Here's a Simba Sports Club. Now, for the first time since 1937, we've launched a proper website. Those are some of the small things I'm talking about that will make sure that we take Africa to the world. So somebody in Brazil now, because I've got 3 players who are playing in Brazil, can come into our website now. There's going to be a stream of them coming because they know that their Brazilians are playing in Tanzania. They want to know more than what people are talking about. From that particular website, for instance, now we start logging in things like your app. How do we get our merchandise from somebody who's up country? You know, you can just go to our website or to our app, is able to log in. Now I can even manage the sale of my merchandise, those that are selling fake and everything. So these are the small things that are meaningful where I am, that will change the structure of how things are done in Tanzania. So really, it's about what impact do we make in the environments that we are given an opportunity to lead.
So Nomsa, there's a lot that we can learn from each other here on the continent, and we can help each other, of course, to get more recognition, to get stronger, and thus have a bigger global impact.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'll still a few minutes and tell a little bit of a story. And it's a story of inspiration. I got inspired by Anthony Bafu, who was a general coordinator during the FIFA World Cup. I watched him work and I loved what he was doing. I was lucky enough to then work with him in Nelspruit closely in 2013. And I said to him, I actually want to do what you are doing. And God willing, I was given an opportunity to become a CAF GC in 2014. And I've also made it my responsibility that whenever I go to different countries given an opportunity to be a GC, I need to identify young people within that particular country, work with them so that I can impart the same skill that Anthony had imparted to me in 2013. So I think it's important for us as Africans to say, this is what I know, just like Senzo is saying, little things do matter because you would make an impact in somebody else's life, who would also make an impact in somebody else's life, and Africa can become a better continent. Because from the crop of GCs that I've seen, I actually think that Africa has the best GCs ever because we have learned from the best. Now, I think we all now need to structure the way we develop and mentor and get mentees on the system. Just like I continue watching you. And the other day you had an interview with Asha. And I was so proud to say there are 2 African sisters. And by the way, I love you so much. So I want you guys
thank you.
More so that we can have more Carols in the continent, more Ashas in the continent. Obviously, Denis, we need more and more Denises that will top the chart.
And we need more Nomsas, more Senzos as well on the African continent, as we said. Yeah, it's not just about the athletes, but you know, as you said, the broadcasters and the administrators as well, the general coordinators in sports. Denis, what are some of the opportunities that are available throughout the continent in sport? Some of the other opportunities.
I think the other opportunities we have on the continent is that, as Nomsa said, that we need to, first of all, to try and learn from each other. Because if I know something, why shouldn't I share it with someone on the cross border? If I see something that my club is doing right, and I share it with a club, let's say in Uganda. I'll give you an example of Uganda because I'm from Uganda. So if I see that it's going to help them develop the club, and it's going to help maybe the media to try and get more numbers, more supporters, or more fan base, why shouldn't I share it? I think that's the way we're going to help each other to develop this game, because it's not about ourselves. It's about sharing ideas and getting to make our game develop as a continent, because there might be a youngster out there who needs to be recognized. And as Senzo said, that when he opened up a website, someone was asking, why are you opening up a website in East Africa? I mean, these are things, the little things mean a lot in football. I must acknowledge the media. I must acknowledge the supporters. I must acknowledge the people who sell the cold drinks in the stadium. But by doing that, we need to put a right platform and try and put the game to the next level, because these are things that bring us together as sportsmen, not only football, but as sportsmen, and they help the community. So by doing that, we need to encourage people to come on board and try and share ideas and try and make the game bigger.
Senzo, do you think as Africans we realize just how powerful and how influential we are in sport? Do you think we realize that enough?
We know. That's why we always quarrel all the time, because we want to know better than the next one. We know as Africans that we are the best. We know that we can produce. We know that we can. I mean, I don't care who says what, you know, for the fact that we could pull out a 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa. For me, that shows at that level, that's 10 years ago, by the way, you know, 10 years, a decade ago, in few days. If we can pull something like that together, what can stop us? It's small little things that we need to take care of. Then the bigger things will fall into place. Again, I stress this all the time, Carol. Sometimes in a sport, we tend to be embroiled in unnecessary fighting issues. You look at our own SASCOC back in South Africa. People are fighting for the positions. So many things are not being done. Bafana has been going to this national team. No caps were given properly. Now somebody from England wants to buy a player in South Africa. They say, how many caps has he played? No, we say, no, he's got 13 caps. So how do you verify those national caps if you don't have a SASCOC that is doing its work? You know, so these are small things. Separate your politics and allow administrators and operational people to do their work. You know, we're not saying that you shouldn't compete in political and stuff. Carry on, do your thing, but allow us to grow our industry. You know, grow this sport that we've only known. For instance, if you take me out of football today, Carol, you are killing me. Yes, I can go and get a job next door and be a general manager at a cookery or whatever, but you're killing me because I'm a football man. So allow us to make sure that this football continues, so that those that are behind us can also enjoy this. Football is life. Football is everything. Sport, actually, not just football. Sport in general. People that will kill you with their basketball, especially in Uganda. You know, so I think it's important that we do everything in our power to not forget that it's not about us that are in the car now, but there are those that are still coming behind us. This thing must continue until Jesus comes, as they say.
Yeah, Nomsa, I think it's important that we talk sports as a whole, because we're talking about world-class events like the FIFA World Cup, but we've had the Rugby World Cup, we've had World Athletics Championships, for example, we've got the Netball World Cup that is coming up. So it's been proven that Africa is capable of hosting the world and world-class events, and that's going to continue.
I think we need to start taking governance seriously. That is the most important thing. And I'm taking it from the point made by Senzo. I won't pinpoint at any structure, but I would say, as Africans all across, from governments to structures within our communities, we fail when it gets to governance. And the problem that we tend to have as a continent is that we tend to worship leaders. I'm one of the people that find it difficult to thank people for doing their jobs, because I don't understand why I must say thank you for you doing what you love to what you get paid for. Because in essence, when God created the sun, he created the sun to shine. So why must I say thank you to the sun when it's shining? It is
when it's doing its job.
Yes, it is what it is created for. Therefore, Africans must stop worshiping leaders. Leaders are there to serve. People are afraid of confronting leaders because they would be taken off the high table. Let them kick you off the high table. What are you losing? Nothing. But as Africans, we must make our leaders account. Therefore, the young administrators that are coming up, they have to take governance very seriously. People must account for what they are elected to do. People must account for what they are there for. Like Denis, he is a goalkeeper. He must account to his coach how he did his job on the day. Why are we finding it difficult to make administrators account?
We're going to get closing comments now. So I want to think about what you want to leave us with, what you want to impart. So our topic, of course, is building a better Africa and a better world through sport. Denis, your closing comment on how it is that we as Africans can do that using sport. How do we continue to build a better Africa and a better world using the power of sport? Denis.
I think by using the power of sports, we must try and empower sportsmen and empowering each other as well, because we need each other in life. And the moment we realize the importance of sport, it will develop us as individuals and as countries or as a continent, and we'll move forward from that. But after all, all in all, we need to try and work together as sportsmen and as government officials so that we take the game to the next level.
Thank you so much. Senzo?
Firstly, these are some of the things that will take us forward, because these are cross-border discussions. All of us are from different places, but we're able to sit around the table and share and exchange ideas. What I would say is that for every individual involved in sport, for us to take our sport forward, if you are given a responsibility, do it properly, do it with everything that you have, and knowing that you are making a change in this life and ensuring that these cross-border things, we may differ in language. I mean, Kiswahili speaking a nation, speak a little bit, but that should not hinder us from interacting, ensuring that we share best practices so that we can take our football forward. In every environment that you're in, try to make a change. And also, don't forget that it's not about you, but it's about the sport itself.
Thank you so much. Nomsa?
Wow. I think it's been a lovely discussion. And as Senzo just said, it's never about us, but it is about our continent. And I love Proverbs a lot. So there's this proverb that says, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. If you want to walk far, walk together. Therefore, I would urge Africans to say, let's take each other along. Let's walk side by side so that we can be able to walk far as a continent. And thank you for being such a great host.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure, such an honor as well, to have ambassadors of your caliber joining in for this wonderful discussion. You look at your individual careers and how far you've come, the contribution that you have made as well. So in celebrating Africa Month, we are celebrating all of you as well as great ambassadors and wonderful individuals that are taking sports on the African continent and in turn in the world forward. Thank you all so much. Continue the great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.